Particular Spiritual Roundtable is all about the card draw that I do in the morning, the divination cards relating from my team, my spiritual team, the energy that's important for us to know about this week. And we get to have a spiritual conversation about that. So, welcome everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 25th, and we have some really good cards to talk about today, to share about. So, welcome everybody who's in the live chat. Thank you for being with me this afternoon, or wherever you are around Grandmother Earth. It might even be mid morning by you or evening. So, thank you for being with me. And thank you, too, for those that are watching by the recorded show. Thank you so much for making time in your day. And before I forget, I have to make sure that I send the link to the show to a few people because I promised them that I would. And we'll get that done. Won't take me long. And I invite you to do the same. If you know somebody that enjoys spiritual conversation, drop them the link. And we're going to do the same thing here. And just a couple people, because I promised them that I would do that. There's so many more people now home because of the staying in away from the virus, right? That I have a few more people on the list than I usually do. And so it's just going to take me a minute here. Not even. It's just a reminder, really. And I just saw Tabitha's name. It reminded me of something. I have to remember to send out Tabitha a magazine. I forgot. It's been so busy around here. There we go. Then I remember that I was supposed to do that for her. There we go. There. It's been so busy. Got to turn down my sound on my phone. There we go. So, are you ready for a spiritual conversation? For those who may just be joining us, every Wednesday afternoon, I have this live stream show for Star Nations live stream shows. And what we do at the Spiritual Roundtable on Wednesday afternoon is we have a conversation about the divination cards that I draw in the morning on Wednesday morning. And so this is the deck that we're using. It's a Sacred Spirit reading cards by Anna Stark. And Anna Stark is from Australia. So with the cards and the information that she shares, it's got that perspective or the lens of, right? Someone who lives down under. And so it helps with the conversation because we get to experience spirit and the information that they're giving to us through a broader perspective. So it's so much fun. And I love these kind of conversations. So before we get started, though, I wanted to let you know that we are going to be ending the show just a little bit earlier than usual. We do have 2 cards today, so it'll be kind of a task to get it all in. But I wanted to let you know that we have a show, a Star Nations live stream show coming up behind us today, and that is Nature Connections with Minnie Kansman. Minnie is doing solo hosting. We've hosted a show together since 2013, I think, or 2014. And Minnie is ready to host her own show, and so she's taken over the hosting of Nature. It was Nature Adventures, and now we named it to Nature Connections, and so she's on right after us. So I want to make sure that you have time to go get a beverage and get something to drink, and to be able to join us back here for Minnie's show, and it gives me time to run down the virtual hallway into the studio for Minnie. And so we'll be ending just a little bit earlier than usual. Okay. All right. So let's see who's in the house, who's joined us. It's always good to say hi. And Rob's here. He says, I'll be subsequently have to pick up a pizza for work at home. Okay. Save me a slice. Slice of it, za. Deborah's here. She says, good afternoon. I feel so blessed to be part of this group. I know. I love having you here too, Deborah. I do. And Rob says, some of us should be in home. Maybe. Maybe. Hello, Rochelle. Good to have you here, lady. She says, shared and grounded. Good for you. Good for you. Thanks for sharing that. And Amy is here as well. Very flustered. I'm at work. No orders. Um, no orders. Tired off my butt. Okay. Logged in to listen to this or do something else. I get interrupted. That's okay. That's all right, Amy. Just make sure you take some deep breaths. Remember to breathe. And you can have us on in the background, right? It's okay. Glad to have you here, even if you're in and out of the show. That's all right. Kimberly's here too. Hello, Kimberly. Sally's here too. Sally, hello, Sally. Good to have you in the house. And look who else is here. Peggy's here too. Hello. Good to have you here, Peggy. And I want to jump back up here because Rochelle asked me a question. She says, "How's your mom?" My mom is doing pretty good. Um, you know, the COVID, right, 19, has her stuck to the television though. She's watching the whole thing unfold. But you know, we're honestly, Rochelle, our life really hasn't changed all that much here. It really hasn't. Um, because of her age, I've been very aware and with making sure that we wash our hands and once a week I'm doing purification by Young Living Oils in the diffuser. Been doing that for 8 years. And also we're doing Thieves Blend in the diffuser about once or twice a week. And I just upped that to just one more time a week than usual. Yeah. And so she's doing pretty well. Usual stuff, pain from the arthritis, and that sort of thing. So thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. But she's hanging in there. She really is. We figured out the other day on Sunday in the other Spiritual Roundtable show that I do in the private group, we were talking about the last world pandemic, and that was in 1918 with the Spanish flu and the energies around that, right? And when we were finished with that show, I had to sit back and think about it a bit. My mom was born in 1919. So during the Spanish flu pandemic in 1918, my grandmother was pregnant with my mom. She was carrying her. She was a fetus, my mom, at that time. So she survived that world pandemic in 1918. And so fast forward 100 years, and she is watching the second pandemic unfold in front of her. It's kind of surreal. So, yeah, making sure that she's safe as best we can, as best we can. We've never had a whole lot of people coming through the house, uh, excuse me, with with colds and that kind of thing. So, yeah, she's pretty safe. All right. Uh, Rob is saying the COVID-19 is not as good as Adam 12. That was an old show, right? Barbara, hey Barbara, she says, I love this show. So glad to be here. Always learn a lot. So it's good to have you in the house, Barbara. And when I love it when you guys help with the conversation and weigh in, right? And we're going to do the same thing today. We have 2 cards. And actually, it's cards that we've had before, but not in this combination. Okay. All right. So here's the first card. It's lead the way, light your own path. And so this is a deer, an elk, actually, I believe. Notice the star in the background. Isn't that gorgeous? And I love the colors on here. And in the background, it kind of reminds me of the Northern Lights. Or if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, the Southern Lights. Right? The Aurora Borealis. Yeah. Notice his horns. His horns are all lit up, aren't they? The artist for these cards, his name is Lewis Dyer, and he's also from Australia. all the swirls and all that on the deer's body, right? Almost looks like the constellations too, doesn't it? Yeah. And how much the ground is lit up. Notice that the deer has all 4 feet on the ground. Very grounded, very stable, right? Even to the point where he's standing, there's flowers growing on his path. Yeah. Lead the way. Light your own path. Number 23 in the card deck, that's a 5, and that's all about transformation, right? Lead the way, light your own path. And doesn't it look like his path is lit up where he's standing? Kind of reminds me of I was just going to say the movie's name and it went right out of my head. I can't remember what I was going to say. It's the name of the movie. Help me here, you guys. I'm having a menopausal moment. It's the one where I think it's a Spielberg. Yeah, it's a Spielberg movie, and the people the beings were blue, and we were able to go into their dimension. Very indigenous people, and whenever they walked on the path, wherever they put their feet, Grandmother Earth would light up. Do you remember what's the name of that movie? But that's what it reminds me of. I'm watching to see who comes up with the name of the movie because I can't remember it. Avatar, that's it. Thank you, Lynn. I knew somebody would have it. Thank you, Lynn. Yes, Avatar. That's what it reminds me of. Thank you, Lynn. I knew somebody would have it. All right. So, and what we know about the energy or the medicine of deer, right, is that it's depending on which species of the deer. If it's a whitetail, it has a gentle energy to it. It's more about helping us with our inner work, our inner selves, right? If it's an elk, that is really about pacing ourselves and balance. They're a little bit more extroverted. They have great stamina. They can run for miles. Okay, and if it's a buffalo, yeah, buffalo medicine is big, huge. It's planetary. It's all about all the people, right? But this particular deer is either an elk or it's a whitetail or a blacktail. And coming from an Australian point of view, chances are it looks more like an elk because it's pretty big. The male elks, the bulls, can run anywhere between 1,200 to 1,800 pounds. They're huge. When we do drum making, out of one elk hide, there's I think 10 drums out of one animal hide for the elk. So you can tell how big they are. Those are 15-inch drum heads. So that tells you a little something about the size. Okay, here we go. Let's see what the author has to say. She says, lead the way. Listen to yourself. Light your own path. So listen to yourself. In other words, we have to listen to our own counsel. Listening to our intuition, what our soul is telling us. And as we light our own way, that's really our soul who's lighting the path. Right? In many ways, we could say that it's, whenever we use our gifts that we came in with, right? Whenever we apply them, that is the expression of our soul. And so the more often that we use our gifts, the more we light up, literally and figuratively. And so we are lighting our own path whenever we use our gifts. And especially when we can step into them fully and really embrace them and share them, right? Yeah, that's the feeling I get from this card. I don't know about you, but that's the feeling I get from this card is that it's really about listening to our intuition, right? Lighting up our own path. It says the faithful deer is a creature of deep sensitivity with heightened senses and strong flight or fight response. The deer is always alert to the environment around them, which is so true. If you've ever watched a deer, especially in the wild, they're constantly looking, watching, scanning their environment, and they have such keen hearing. Their ears are like little antennas, right? And they're constantly listening and twitching and turning them so they can bring in information. And so deer are very much about clairaudience. Do you see the size of their ears there, of his ears, just below his horns? They have large ears. So it really is. I'm trying to get it to focus my camera. Um, and you add the horns on there, and bringing the horns are definitely antennas to all kinds of energy. And notice how they're lit up. So the deer, this male deer, is really bringing in a lot of information, light language, if you will. So it's really about um, trusting your own intuition, listening to your own counsel, right? And it has a lot to do with discerning because we're bringing in information all the time. Every second, we're bringing in a lot of information from the seen and the unseen world, from the physical world and from the spiritual world. And so, especially these days, we really have to discern that information coming from the physical world, right? And whenever we discern, that means that we're connecting with our higher self, our soul, to understand with clarity what's really going on here, you know? And so it's really about trusting our intuition, trusting ourselves. It says that deer, with their swiftness in response to potential threats, allows them to escape any danger by running away at the slightest indication. This sensitivity and readiness of the deer requires a symbolic relationship of trust of the physical senses. We're conditioned through various stages of our life to behave and act a certain way, to please family, teachers, colleagues, friends, and allowing others to dictate terms to our emotional well being. Now is the time to ask yourself, what is it that you truly want or need in your life right now? Now, if we would have asked this question 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we would have gotten a little bit different answer, right? But given today in the energy that we're living in, asking yourself that same question, it's almost like what's really important to me now? What should I be spending my energy on now? Right? It's about energy allocation and listening to your higher self, your intuition, right? Lighting up your own path. It says previously you may have been or appeared naive and innocent. This has created vulnerable situations where you have not been able to fully comprehend your environment or the true intentions of others. In life, facing potential threats or confrontations is necessary and something we can't always avoid. Like the deer, you may instinctively react, choosing to run away from your problems. However, this will not always help the situation improve, right? So let's look at it a little bit closer to home, right? Sometimes we have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable for a little while so that we can discern for ourselves what's really going on here. Why is this situation being presented to me, right? Rather than reacting immediately, is to pause for a moment and to really take in as much information and ask your spiritual team to assist you with clarity, right? Before you react, before you run away. Because many times, as two-leggeds, as humans, we don't spend the time in the uncomfortable to understand why we're experiencing it. Right? And as empaths, we should be asking ourselves, is this mine? Am I feeling this or experiencing this? Is this mine or is this someone else's? Right? Rather than taking flight and heading the opposite direction. Not to say that you shouldn't keep yourself safe. It's just to pause long enough to discern for yourself what's really going on. And if it is yours and it is something that you need to deal with, rather than running away from it and hiding from it or suppressing it, is to learn how to be able to face it with as much courage and grace as you can, because it's all about our soul growth, right? Yeah, and especially when we're housebound, when our travel has been curtailed, right? Um, we find ourselves in closer proximity to our own family members, right? And so sometimes what we do is we end up pushing something away rather than talking about it, acting like it's not there. And when we're in close quarters like this, it tends to come to the surface, right? And so to be able to find a healthy way to sit down and have a conversation about it, right? Rather than running away from it. And there's soul growth in it. The trick is the trick is to be able to be calm enough to deal with it. And that's where sometimes our spiritual committee comes into play. So you can ask them for help, right? Ask them for help. And also to ask others for help, right? Other two-leggeds for help. Maybe you just need a mediator, and or somebody to help you to diffuse the situation. Yeah, because we still need to be safe. I get caught up with you guys in the chat. Yeah, Peggy's saying Avatar too. Thank you, Peggy. That was such a relief to say that's it. Rob is saying interesting that the number 23 given the I Ching meaning. Okay, are you going to give us the I Ching meaning? Give it to us. Tell us. Yep, that's right, Sandra. Thank you for sharing too. Avatar. All right. Lynn says elks are beautiful animals, aren't they? Though, and to listen to them, to hear them bugle in the wild, and you're there close enough to be able to hear them, is there's nothing like it. It goes right to your solar plexus, or at least it did me. Deborah says they have amazing sense of smell. Yes, they do. Yeah, it's because they're a prey animal. They really have to be watchful of their environment. Barbara is saying beautiful reminder, horns like angel wings. Yes, exactly. Rob is saying the 23rd hexagram, Po, is the equivalent of the Tower of the Tarot. Oh, really? We're leading the way amidst destruction. Ooh, that's a good one. Thank you, Rob, for sharing that. Because isn't that what we're doing right now? Right? Um, there's lots of different ways of perceiving it. That's for sure. But getting this card in the number 23, and for me, numerology, right, is about that transformation, transmutation. And truly, the Tower card isn't all that bad. It's about starting over. It's clearing the way, right? Thank you for that, Rob. That really adds a lot, I think, to the conversation. Martina, hello, Martina. She goes, "Hi, just got on from work." Okay, I'm so glad you're here. So this is the first card for those who have joined us. It's lead the way, light up your own path. It's about your intuition. Okay. It says right now you're being encouraged to connect strongly to base instincts. What does your gut tell you about the situation? To be alert. Currently, personality conflicts are strong and have the potential to cause emotional distress. You must decide how to choose your approach. Do you need to face this person, or can you remove yourself from the situation peacefully? Like the deer totem, you may need to hold a torch for others to be guided down positive paths or in a direction that was previously hidden. It's important to assist others when they do not have a light to guide them. Instinctively, you must learn to accept the changes in life and run peacefully in the flow of the universe. Ooh, that last paragraph is something to it, guys, because many of us who have been awake on our spiritual journey for a long time, right? Um, we've been we've been growing into this for a long time, and here we are in a juncture in the time of humanity, and actually, let's say all the relatives, all of nature, right here on Earth. There's a huge shift and change happening, and there's many people out there that maybe are just now waking up or have been awake for a short time, and they're looking for information, right? You can be a grounding positive energy for them. And really you don't even have to say anything. You just have to be in their environment. You can be that 6 feet away and you're going to shift the energy in that space without even saying anything, right? Just being who you are. Just being who you are. And so the torch, that's a UK term, right, for a flashlight. So, you can be that beacon of light for someone else who's maybe looking for information or wondering, how do I get through this? I've got 3 kids at home and we're homeschooling and I've never homeschooled, right? Or like me, you have an elder in the house, and perhaps this is the first time you're actually going to be home with that person. Otherwise, you've always had, workers coming in, right, to take care of them. And so now the workers are, to keep that your parent or that elder safe, you really have to limit who's coming in. And so you find yourself 24/7 with this person. And how do you deal, right? Um, and so we can be helpful while lighting up our own path. Does that make sense? I think it's a great card for today. I do. And the energy that we find ourselves in. I think it's a very helpful card that Spirit has given to us through the information, because we get to use our gifts, trust our intuition, because we all receive information from Spirit, every single one of us. Why? Because we are Spirit. It's just that there are some who pay more attention to it, trust it more, right, than others. But we all are capable of receiving our own information. So now is the time. Now is the time to be able um, to lean on and to trust your own intuition. Right? Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, whoops. I was just going to click on one and everything moved. Rob is saying it's no mistake that Po was the main character of Kung Fu Panda. So true. Hi, Martina. She says, love it. And Martina's saying, me, only 2 years. That is a lot of time, really. It really is. You can cover a lot of ground in 2 years. She's saying that I'm such an empath. I'm doing my best to show others. Good for you. Excellent. Excellent, Martina. Is that to use your gifts, right? To use your gifts. And Rob is saying, now that we are homeschooling, I've already had to expel a student and fire a teacher for drinking on the job. That's an old joke. I saw that meme too. Martina says, "We are one." Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I know. I know. Paul's been showing me all these memes that he sees on Facebook that are hilarious. All right. So we're going to move on to the second card. Second card. Here we go. Awakened spirit. Awakened spirit. Desire to change. Just like my camera. Doesn't want to focus. See if we can get it to focus. There we go. Awakened spirit. Desire to change. There's a whole lot going on in this card. Look at all that energy. Do you see? To me, there's eyes in the background, right? The energy that's flowing to him and from him. And look in the upper corner there. There's another being in the background. Now, it could be the soul. It could be an angel, an ancestor, a star being, awakened spirit. To me, for today, it really does feel like the soul. I like this card a lot. I really do. Yeah, desire to change. You have to admit that it may be uncomfortable. It may be scary, frightening to some people about the shifting and changing that's going on worldwide, right? But there's a whole lot of souls that are awake, a lot more than what there were a month ago, right? Yeah. And so, as awakened beings, once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep. You can't unring that bell. And everybody has a choice. Everybody does. You can choose not to pay attention and to remain asleep, right? Or you can choose to pay attention and say, what does that mean? And start looking for a deeper meaning. Right? Yeah. I think these two cards are perfect timing for us to, because here's the intention that I did when I drew the cards this morning. And it was talking to my spiritual team and asking them to please show me the energy that's flowing today that's important for us to know about this week. And to help us with our soul growth. To give those that are open to it their aha moment, their clarity, right? To understand their soul contract even more. For those that are open to it. And that we can share with others if we choose, right? That's what the intention for this card draw was. And so we have awakened spirit. And the second card, when I do the cards, the second card always supports the first one. And so the first one was about our intuition and lighting up our own path, right? Trusting our intuition. As an awakened being, as an awakened spirit, we are taking in so much information all the time, helping us along our way, right? All right, here's what the author has to say. She says, an awakened spirit is much like Alice in Wonderland. Once you have traveled down the rabbit hole, you can never go back to what you knew before. You become forever changed by your new experience. New information and experiences will change you at your very core. You become enlightened with sacred connection, resulting in physical, spiritual, and emotional changes. And right now, the whole world is going through a transformation. It's never going to be the same again. You know, when the dust settles, when we're on the other side of this, what is the world going to be like now? What are you creating for your next experience, right? Can't go back, can only go forward. You may be feeling lost and confused about your life, relationships, family, or social connections, including your employment. This is a time when making meaningful experiences is a priority, as you can no longer fathom wasting time on greedy, materialistic, or ego-based principles. The question of why comes to the forefront of almost every experience as you search for meaning and validity for your soul's experience here on earth. Seen through the industrial machine of society, you become more aware of people's unhappiness and lack of passion, ethics, and integrity. At this moment, understanding who you are, the real you, beyond what you have been conditioned to believe by societal norms, family, school, and institutions, becomes a dominant feature in your life, right? And when the media released all this information coming out of China and Italy and all these places, what happened? We saw a lot of people not at their best, right? Hoarding and buying all kinds of toilet paper. Why? I still don't understand that one. But see, this is something that we had to stand back and watch and take in. It's like, all right, we need to calm this down. We need to get centered and grounded, right? That's what I meant about the empaths. I said this morning at the meditation is that the empaths we're literally on the front line, helping to transform energies, right? Not taking them on ourselves and having them take up residence in us, but to pass them through and working with Grandmother Earth to transform those energies, right? And so using our gifts, right? Using our gifts. Okay, so here's the rest of it is right now your spirit seeks freedom. Confined by restrictive interactions and outdated ideals, it's important to understand the connection between your physical body and spiritual self. This deep connection is the soul's expanding awareness into seeing a broader and bigger picture in life. Health challenges can occur now as you go through the phase of the spiritual improvement. Oh, I forgot to give you the affirmation of the first card. Here's the affirmation for this card. It says, I am free to follow the call of my heart with purpose, with love, and clarity. That's the affirmation for this card. I am free to follow the call of my heart with purpose, with love, and clarity. Give you the affirmation for the first card. Here's the affirmation for the first card. I choose my own way forward. I am a guiding light. I choose my own way forward. I am a guiding light. Right? And here's another thing with both these cards is what I got earlier when I was thinking about spending time with the cards is that we really do have to mind our own vibration first. In order for us to help someone else, we really have to mind our own vibration. In other words, we do want to be grounded, centered, and protected. before we step out and try to do, right? But if you're not feeling quite right, right? Perhaps you're just having a moment yourself. Maybe you're feeling the overwhelm. Is to take care of yourself first, right? To do a meditation, take a nap, go see a funny. Oh, you wait, back up just a little bit. Watch a funny movie because you probably can't go to the movies. Watch a funny movie. Listen to some good music, right? Mind your own vibration because you can't mind someone else's. You can assist them by lighting up the path, but you can't do anything about their vibration. You can only be concerned about your own, right? Yeah, I like that one too. All right. I'm going to get caught up with you guys in the chat. And Lynn is saying, thank you for assigning and clarifying this information. You're assisting. Well, you're welcome, Lynn. You're very welcome. And Barbara saying, perfect match to elk. I thought so. I agree, Barbara. Totally agree. She also says, change is uncomfortable, but the need for me to change is so great right now that I cannot ignore it. Good. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. But do ask your team for assistance because you can do it in a graceful, enjoyable way. It doesn't have to be filled with drama or trauma unless you choose to. And if you choose that, that's okay too. It's better to learn the lesson. And Kimberly is saying, I'm feeling over the last 2 weeks, people are waking up when they meet an awakened soul. Yes. Yes. And chances are you really don't even have to say much. You just have to be you. That's all you have to do is just be you. Be the real you, right? The authentic you, as they say. Barbara is saying is that intention made me cry. Aw, because it touched you, right? It touched your soul. Lynn says, I'm feeling I was given this time to be alone at home, to look within and to learn from this experience. Yes. And I think that we've all been given that time to slow down. Even those of us that, I think, how much slower can I go, right? Even me, my reaction to my metformin means that my muscles hurt and I have to slow down. It's like, oh, great. But I totally agree with you, Lynn. And Sally's saying, love that. Mind my own vibration. Yeah, that's all we can really do. Mind my own vibration. If I'm feeling wonky or if I'm feeling, especially as an empath, it's like, okay, is this mine? Or is this someone else's? Because if it's someone else's, okay, then we need to transmute it. If it's mine, I need to deal with it. And how is the best way to deal with it? Right? If I'm being cranky, because I can be, if I'm cranky, then I have to check in with myself. It's like, what's going on? If it's mine, what's going on? Okay, blood sugar, maybe that's a little off. Maybe I need to eat a little something, have an apple with some peanut butter or something, right? Maybe I need a little bit of a nap. Maybe I need to finish my editorial article, which I have to do yet. And so, mind your own vibration. Okay. So we do know that when I show the cards together, the best thing that we can do is to be grounded so we can take in as much of the information as we possibly can that's meant for our highest good, right? In an optimal way. So if you haven't done your grounding this morning or today yet, please take a moment and get grounded. And we'll pause just for a second. I'll do a little bit more talking while you guys are doing that. And we do know that, right? So we take in information from our physical world and also the unseen world all the time. And so the information coming from the cards can really be very helpful to us, even though we may not be totally aware in our conscious mind about the light language that's coming from the cards. Okay. So would really appreciate it if you guys took a deep breath in, and on the exhale, calling to your team, your spiritual team, to come to you. They're here all the time. We're turning our attention to them and ask them to assist you in bringing in the information in an optimal way for your highest good. Okay. All right. So here we go. We got the two cards. The first one, lead the way, right? Lead the way. Light your own path. Second card, awaken spirit, right? The desire to change. And for me, it really does boil down to taking in the energy, the information that will help us to step into that awakened being, and vice versa. The awakened being that you are is going to help you to have more trust in your own intuition so that you can be that beacon of light just by being who you are. Using your gifts, applying them, your soul is going to light up and be that beacon. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's so helpful to us, and especially at this time, is to Spirit is saying it's going to be okay. It's going to be grand, in fact. On the other side of this, even during it, it does not have to be trauma laden or drama laden, right? And as Lynn said, given this time, it's an opportunity, it's a gift, to be able to slow down and to go within, right? We've just been given a huge gift to be in a quiet place, as quiet as you can be anyway, right? All right. Now, I told you guys we're going to be ending the show a little bit earlier today because we have Nature Connections coming on right after us, and that's with Minnie Kansman, and it's her first solo show, and I promised that I would be in the lobby in the studio with her because she's going to ask me a question. So she's going to interview me just a little bit. And so I need to get prepared for that. But in the meantime, I wanted to thank you guys for being with me this afternoon. Thank you so much. I love having this kind of conversation, don't you? A spiritual conversation about spirit. And I also want to share with you a picture here. We still have this going on. Star Nations Academy, a launch into the deep waters of manifesting. And I can tell you the timing on this, it's like spirit, there's no coincidence for sure, because we planned this bundled classes in December, not knowing that we were going to have this quarantine stuff and so this is our very first online classes. So you can join us from your own home. You don't have to go anywhere. Online classes, all about manifesting. And Maureen's class has already occurred, and so has Ed's. Ed's was last weekend. So the next class coming up is multidimensional manifesting with your inner child with Polly Joe. That's coming up on April 23rd. And then my class is remembering how to create, and that's on May 3rd. And so you still have time to register for this. When you register, you're going to get all 4 classes, even though the first 2 have already occurred. You're going to receive those as recorded classes. And there's something else that we've done for you guys. We've recorded guided meditations, and Ed did a special tapping video that hasn't been seen by anybody else yet, haven't been heard yet by anybody else. They're meant specifically for this class. And so that's a bonus. And so Polly Joe's class is coming up on the 23rd of April. And I have this that brings it up just a little bit clearer. And so these 4 classes are really the cornerstone of a much bigger class that's happening at the end of May. Now, we were meant to do this in person in Massachusetts. Now, that might change just a little bit given everything that's happening. We may, I need to talk to the other teachers. We might do a special online thing. And so I hope you guys can join us. If you want more information, go to Star Nations. Put that in Nation. Oops, gotta spell right. I can't spell today. Nation.org. And you can go to the Academy page, and that has all the information and registration information there. Okay. All right. So, oops, I meant to do that and then do that. Click the right buttons. So thank you so much for being with me today and having this spiritual conversation at the Spiritual Roundtable. I have to tell you, lots of times in this particular show, it feels like for me that we are sitting around my dining room table and we all have a beverage, tea or coffee or something, and we're really having the spiritual conversation. Yeah. And so I want to thank you for that. I enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it too. The information coming from the cards today, if it resonated with you, my suggestion is to embrace it and watch, see, sense, feel how the energy for the week is unfolding around you and where the information can be helpful to you from the cards. If it didn't resonate with you, you know what? Don't worry about it. It's okay. No worries. You're not going to hurt my feelings, that's for sure. And perhaps maybe you're a messenger. And so perhaps all you have to do is share the recorded show with a friend or family member. Maybe they're the ones that were looking for it. And then you're done. You don't have to do any more. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Please stick around and join us for Nature Connections at the top of the hour. And at 7 o'clock tonight, Eastern Time, is also Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. You know, that's an evening of healing and divine messages. If you're needing assistance with a healing situation, you know, bring your intentions and your spiritual team. And Polly Jo and her team will assist you in a guided meditation. It's a very powerful evening. And, you know, that show is actually designed to heal the healer. Because most of the time we put ourselves on the bottom of the list when it comes to self-care and that sort of thing and our own healing work. And that show is really designed about heal the healer. And so if you're one of those, you can join us. If you like having a mini reading, card reading, that's really enjoyable too. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Okay. Bama Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. I love you guys.